Shannon. Now this is podcasting.
Hello.
And scene.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Deeply missed you. I deeply missed being on these mics for the 30 minutes in between. But I will, at the end of this recording, it will be another 2 weeks until we get to record again, and I will miss it. And when we come back, I'll be excited.
Yes.
Guys, I know I said this last show, but this is going to be the best
It seems
episode.
that we just keep one-upping ourselves.
We can't stop doing it better. We can't
this
help
week,
ourselves.
More insightful.
More insightful.
More exciting.
More racism.
More
more bleeping. Somebody's going to say something to me at church. It's all over.
Hyperpremium's dead.
It's dead.
It'll come back.
But it'll come back just like we said last time. Guys, welcome to Work Hard.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. We really appreciate you listening.
Yes.
Sometimes we're not sure why you do.
Nope.
But it is a pleasure to be here.
Yes. My name's Ethan. With me is my co-host, Jason.
That would be me.
Hello, Jason.
Hello, Ethan.
Guys, something exciting happened in the news that we didn't have time to talk about recently, but we're going to talk about it now. Vivek got fired.
As a result of us talking about it on the podcast.
Direct result of me calling him an Indian. I'm not going to say the word because I told Jason I wasn't going to
make anything that I had to edit out.
Because we do have to post this today, so Jason needs the time. So yes, Vivek got fired, and Vivek got fired for stepping out of line.
I guess Trump would listen to our episode called Abu. Sorry, not
Yeah.
Abu. Abu was the monkey.
Now
Abu
Jason's
was
got
Aladdin's monkey. Now I got to edit that out.
Hot episode today.
Yeah, all fired up. No, Apu was an H1B.
Yes. Yeah, you can
So
listen
go
to that
check
episode.
out that if you want a spicy episode.
Yeah, just
with some political hot takes. Go check out that one.
Content morning. I do get a little. I don't get that racist in that one.
You also walk it back.
I do walk it back, but
some
in the
of it
maximum alert
was a fit of
that we
passion.
posted that week, though, I did get
That
pretty,
one was really heated. Yeah.
yeah. Vivek got fired. Vivek, for those of you that don't remember, had he spazzed out online and said that Americans need to quit being American and need to start being more Indian, basically. And he got chopped up for that and spit out. And now he's having to do this apology tour where he's going to like all the like cool jock American things that are cool that Americans like big engines and hot dogs. He's having to like walk around and be like, isn't this so cool? Isn't NASCAR cool? I'm an American. I have an American accent. Isn't this cool? I'm American. So that's great. And I think that's a very good sign. Now, Jason and I are going to discuss some things that still need to happen. You know, the movement isn't quite there yet, but having a foreigner try to dictate to Americans what Americans are and what Americans should be doing and then immediately getting liquidated for it is a good sign.
It's the American way.
It's the American way. It's the way of all people.
Well, not the American way.
It's actually the American way.
You can't walk into any culture and go, you know what you guys need to do different? They're going to be,
Yeah, they're going to get the axes, dude, or the machetes, depending on which part of the world you're in. The American way is to let it happen, say nothing, and then let your country be destroyed. That's actually not the American way. That's yet to be seen. It is the English way, though, because their country is done.
oh, yes.
And
They're going to need quite a rebirth, it seems.
Yeah, they just let that
guys.
happen. Sorry. Yeah. So Vivek got fired from Doge. I guess he's going to try to run for the governor of Ohio. That's not going to happen. Actually, you know what? It might. Who knows? But Vivek is a dork that is unwilling to accept the fact that he is a dork. And he resents jocks. He's very open about how he resents jocks. And he doesn't, he seems, I don't know this for sure, but he seems to also resent his Indianness, which, I mean, I've talked a lot of smack about Indians, but There are cool Indian guys. There are cool Indian guys. Indians do have a mystique and a mysticism about them and about their culture that is redeeming. Just lean into being Indian. You don't have to.
I mean, God made you from the country and the culture that you're from.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Don't deny it. It's maybe a lighter version of I'm male and I don't like being male, or I'm so torn up inside that I think I'll try being female.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what Vivek was doing with if you change your skin tone chemically or whatever he did.
Whatever
to lighten his skin color.
Yeah. And he wears shoes that are 2 sizes too big
to make himself appear larger.
Yeah.
So it's insecurities.
Yeah, and he learned an American accent. He didn't have, there's old recordings of him talking, and he still had, an Americanized Indian accent.
Okay.
But he still had a little twinge of the Indian stuff in it. So he's done voice coaching to have a more pure American accent, which...
What's the problem with that, though? I mean, you've talked about the...
If it was... if I believed that it was to assimilate better, then there'd be nothing wrong with that.
Gotcha.
But given his past behavior, I think it's manipulative. I don't think it's like
it's just to be taken more seriously.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
In order to be able to get at the helm somewhere and steer it in a way that you think is un-American.
Right. If he wasn't proven through his past business dealings as a scamming liar, which that's what he is. He bought this, destroyed, whatever.
We went into the last episode.
Yeah,
listen to the last one.
Yeah. If he wasn't that way, then the American accent thing, I would be like, oh, that's cool. Good for him. Good for you. I'm glad you did that.
We can understand you easily when you talk.
Yeah, now we can understand you easily when you talk. Welcome. Come sit down.
Cajuns, still waiting on it.
Yeah, Cajuns, sorry. And that's my people.
And you're American. So what's the deal?
Yeah, why are we doing this? Yeah. Listen to me. Listen to my voice. You hear how I sound? I don't sound like that. Why do you sound like that?
None of the rest of the country can understand you.
Yeah.
They're probably like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want them to understand us.
Yeah. Dude, my dad, the other day we were talking through some stuff. He was trying to help me out with this work conflict I've been having. And he was like, what's going on with your back? Because we were doing a video call. He's like, what's going on with your background here? Why do you have why is it just your black office? And I was like, I don't know. It's cool. It's artistic. And then he was talking about the document, the word processing document or software I was using. He's like, what is this? Why aren't you using Microsoft Word, the SharePoint thing that we all use, so you can just shoot things back and forth? And I was like, I don't know, because this is what I have. And he was like, dude, all right, listen.
He's like, assimilate.
Yeah, he was like, listen,
I know, part of the team.
Yeah, he was like, I know that you're the way that you are, but you're young, you're new at this. You have to show people that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and then you can do whatever you want. But for now, you have to drop this. He was like, it just seems odd and detached. And I was like,
ooh, okay,
Dad, I am odd and detached. That is why I call you once a month going, can I do this? And feel like I don't fit in, because I don't fit in.
He's like, if you switch to Word, you can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
no!
I do appreciate immigrants who try to switch to Word in their in their voices. I get it. But yeah, so Vivek got fired, and that's good. It's a step in the right direction. We'll talk about it today, but there's a lot more steps that need to occur. But yeah, we just wanted to take a second to clown on Vivek a little bit more and laugh about that. So we could probably, I think I've got my fill there. You want to scoot it onto the Rex, in between the couch cushions?
Do you want to talk about we have time to do the cultural?
Oh, yeah. We can tie it in
definitions.
Right now. Yeah.
The other thing I've noticed, there's a trend. Maybe not a trend, but I've noticed some posts from quote-unquote conservative profiles on X, one in particular that was celebrating the return of Carl's Jr. using babes in bikinis again.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever woke stuff they were doing before.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess maybe the one good thing woke culture did was to get rid of openly objectifying Barbie doll-like women.
Yeah, just objectifying fat women, which made it easier for guys
to be like, I'm not attracted to.
Yeah, it made it way easier for me because
I haven't struggled with lust in years.
Yeah, thank goodness all this woke stuff is around. And all these fat ladies
Carl's Jr. went back to women in bikinis.
Yeah, dang, this girl's got abs. Now I've got to eat an onion.
I've got to work on. Now I've got to work on myself.
Yeah, dude.
I've gotten flabby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, conservatism does not seem to be a term that we can really use.
Yeah.
It doesn't define what we here at Hyper Premium are trying to do, or what I see in our broader, like our church culture, our Reformed Christian culture is not conservative, because conservative is necessarily defensive play.
Right.
I'm not originating this thought, but I've been thinking about it through,
Yeah.
Listening and talking to others. If all we're doing is trying to keep the ball from moving down the field, the ball is going to continue moving down the field, and we will just adopt a new position a few yards behind the progressives.
Right.
We're just hanging on to their ankles and trying to slow them down.
Yeah.
And we're like, not transgenderism yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, conservatism will always, by its definition, just
be defensive.
Be defensive and be
eventually adopting the same things.
It will always be woke light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always.
The culture is shifting left, and the right is just to the right of whatever's left.
Right.
But it's moving in pace with the left.
Right.
It's still moving left, just not as quickly.
Right.
This is evidenced by, same-sex marriage, quote unquote, being legalized, which obviously, as a Christian, God's definition is one man, one woman. You can't. You are not married as a man and a man. You are not married as a woman and a woman. It's not because Christians hate you. Some of them are very cruel about it, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
So, and then I think that's where, like the worst Christians doing the worst PR work are reacting in fear and anger at gay people.
Yeah.
And making the divide worse, as opposed to saying, we love you, we're also sinners. We don't sin in that way in particular, but we sin in other ways.
Yeah.
We just like the Carl's Jr. girls, and we have to try to not to like the Carl's Jr. girls.
Right.
That's adultery of the heart and eyes, and we need to guard against that and fight against that.
Yeah.
So what we are calling for is a change of definition, and Ethan and I haven't talked about this, at least right before this episode, but I'll just float progressive traditionalist.
I like Puritan futurism.
Okay.
That's
I like
the one
that
I've been using.
Puritan
fast.
futurism.
Yeah. Because one of the things that I think that I take issue
because traditionalist also like what tradition? So I like the Puritan. I think that's better than traditionalist. I have a friend who calls himself a traditionalist. He hasn't been calling himself a conservative for some time because of this exact reason.
Right.
He sees it as you're just moving the ball slower.
Right. Yeah.
But traditionalist also kind of fails to capture. It's like, what period of tradition are you talking about?
What period? Yeah, and you're still hearkening back.
You're hearkening back.
And that's
so
the thing.
So purity, I guess, is a good way to put it. People are going to tie it to the Puritans, so a historical time period, which is the problem maybe with that. But there is a lot to be gleaned from the actual Puritans.
Yeah.
And not, as long as you're not becoming I'll have to not swear, a legalist butthead about it.
Yeah.
If you're a legalist butthead, then you're kind of missing the point of the Puritans.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not actual piety.
No, it is not.
To be like, well, how far did you travel? You're being a Pharisee.
Yeah, you're being a Pharisee. Yeah, go back in time and hang out with the Puritans after they got off work and see how pure they seem to you.
Yeah, I don't know. So what was it? Puritan futurist?
Puritan futurism.
I like that because that looks to
the future.
We're progressing, but avoiding the word progressive.
Right, and it's this there's this big thing that I have beef with, like the Windleberry conservatives, even a lot of the Christian National return to tradition people. The problem that I have with that is that that's not a solution. The past is gone. It's not coming back ever. And the world that is coming down the pipe at us is dynamic and full of different problems and new issues and all kinds of bizarre things that we can't even imagine. And so trying to look back at the Puritans and go, we're going to bring back the Puritans and their way of life. That's not happening. That's never coming back. It's gone. you're never going back to a time like to speak to the Wendell Berry thing. You're never going back to a time where agrarian living is the standard operating procedure for most humans.
Because you'll be wiped out or enslaved.
Yeah, you'd be wiped out or enslaved by people with guns and electricity, and it also just isn't.
But it can be rebirthed with inspiration from what was good about those things,
right?
And adapting it to the modern scenario. We talked about this with dealing the hand or playing the hand that you were dealt in the other episode a couple weeks ago. The hand you're dealt is where we are living right now, where you're living, and what technological advances have been made, and how you make sense of all that.
Yeah.
And how you behave as a moral and God-fearing man or woman in that time.
Right. The idea here is to capture the spirit.
Not by playing the village.
Right, not by playing the village. Yeah.
We can all see how that happened.
That
played out real well.
Yeah. Got
retards murdering people anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't. We always use the word retard just as a way of calling somebody stupid, not actually as referring to anybody with mental handicaps.
Yeah, by the way, it is bothering me how much we're towing the line right now. Because I don't like it. Because
you don't like it?
Yeah. So I will say that we're just doing this because we do need to
post it. No, I'm going to edit the other episode. This one's going to come in line. This is 68.
Okay. All right.
Don't worry about it. It won't take long.
Well, then, all right.
I'm getting okay at Audacity, man.
Okay.
I'm all right.
Good. Dang it. What was I going to say? Oh,
sorry, I had to apologize for my, my comment.
The freaking idea here. So if you're like a Wendell Berry guy, or you're a return to tradition person, you're one of these retards who wants to go back to the 1950s or whatever. Think about what is it that time has to offer you? Because I promise you, it's not actually using a hand tool to farm. That's the thing that you find freedom in. There's something it offers you. Is it a deep sense of personal responsibility? Is it a closeness with your family? Is it like, what is it? What's the value that it's actually offering you? And take that and go, how do I, in a modern world, in a future that is only going to get more technologically advanced, and cities are going to get bigger and more efficient, in a world that's going to continue to leave agrarian culture behind, how do I capture what it is that I feel agrarian culture has to offer me and move that into the future? That's what you have to ask yourself. And I'm using the agrarian thing as an example. It's a little practical. We're kind of talking big picture here. It's just an example of what I'm talking about. But if it's not enough to want to go back, because you can't go back. There's no going back, and you are lamenting something that is dead and cannot be brought back to life, and so you have to aim at the future, and that's why I use the word futurism. I mean, that's a pretty common term these days. It's not my term, but I mean, because I identify with the rough and ruckus but very Christian Puritan culture, that's the one I think of as being, a bit of a Renaissance man, tough but educated, capable of being foul when it's necessary, liking a drink, but knowing where the balance is in all these things and having your priorities set in the Lord.
Amen.
That's what I like. And so I'm not going, we got to stop. We all got to wear buckles on our hats and bonnets. We need bonnets. I know that's not coming back. So what do you...
Well, it is in my family.
Yes, it isn't. Yeah,
my wife sews bonnets. My girls love them.
In isolated pockets, there are people who will hold on to that, which is fine, totally fine.
Harkening back to a time when you didn't want to be brown.
Yeah.
You had to keep the sun off your skin.
Yeah.
Because you were an elite.
Yes.
That's not why we wear the bonnets. I'd rather be tan so I don't burn so easy.
Yeah, practically speaking.
Yeah, I'm very pragmatic that way.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be so white.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just there has to be a imagining of what Christianity is in the political sphere. And I think that that's what it comes down to. I think the place where the whole MAGA stuff misses, obviously, is that it's still not grounded in the teaching of the God that created us. It's still not grounded in the Christian faith. And so it will always come short. But I don't think that that's a reason to get disenfranchised with it. I think we have the MAGA thing buys us time and gives us fertile ground to plant and build, and I think that's what this is about.
Trump might say drill baby drill, but we are going to build baby build.
Yeah, we are going to build baby build. Yeah,
and fortify. Like Andy Wilson says, it's time to build. We have a limited opportunity, a window here where we can build institutions and progress, lay down communities, develop them, and then hold that when the pendulum swings back the other way to smack us.
Yeah.
Hold in the center where we should be.
Right. Exactly.
And keep from getting run over like previous generations have at various times.
Yeah.
Because that's very much going to be the testing period.
Yeah.
Right now it's all very exciting.
Yeah. It is all very exciting. And the thing I want to speak to,
or terrifying.
I've been thinking about this a lot. Yeah. It depends on
depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Which I get.
For sure.
It was terrifying 4 years ago.
Yep.
But we lived through it.
Yeah, we did. We did.
You will too, liberals.
Yes.
Please don't kill yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really. Yeah. We don't want you dead.
No.
Any reasonable conservative, quote unquote, does not actually wish you dead.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, just culturally speaking about this whole thing, I think that Christians, and I'm starting to kind of change my mind a little bit because I think of how willing, at least people in our life, like at church and stuff, have been to extend me, this idea that I'm operating in good faith, and people are, joking with me and stuff, but it's all in good fun and good humor. And it does communicate a bit of love and understanding.
Sure.
So I think I am kind of coming
You're
around.
Not being stonewalled or written off.
No, nobody. Yeah, no. If anything, I've gotten closer with people since they started listening and knowing kind of what's in my heart.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
they get a chance to know us a bit better.
Yeah, and so I think
come have a conversation with us if you listen.
Yeah.
We'd like to know a bit about you too.
Yeah, there's I'm kind of coming around on the idea that maybe this is not as big of a problem as I thought it was, but I do think that there is going to have to be some revision in the Christian idea of not necessarily what Christians look like, because the Lord has spelled that out very clearly, but what revival might look like in the country. Okay. I think you're about to see a new wave of Christians. And they're going to be people like Cat Williams. Have you seen the Cat Williams Theo Von interview where he talks about getting saved?
Is Cat Williams the emo?
No, he's the
I'm sorry.
Every day I'm hustling. Cat Williams.
Okay. Sorry. No,
I
was there was a different gal on Allie Beth Stuckey's.
Oh,
what's her name?
Cat Von D.
Cat Von D. Okay, so I'm not entirely wrong.
No,
it was a cat.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's
why does this
example.
remind me of?
That's another great example.
Have you seen the photo of her at her church?
Yeah.
Their little home church?
Yeah.
Full of old white people?
Yes. And
they're the only family in goth garb,
Yeah.
and they still do the goth thing?
Yeah.
And the church loves them.
Yeah. Well, she converted to Orthodoxy recently.
Did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, in any case, but my point is that they received her as a genuine...
with open arms. And in some of those pictures, you can see that her friends are there too. There's other families.
She's bringing other people.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And so, I think I kind of have to eat crow a little bit on this, but I still do want to put the...
Well, that shows that you're genuine in thinking.
Yeah.
This is, again, we'll reiterate, this is a open-ended discussion that we have. This podcast is not us asserting that we have found the true way.
Right.
This is the way.
Yeah, it's just the things we've experienced in life that have helped us along the way.
And we are trying to start a dialogue. So please comment, share.
Yeah.
Talk with us.
Yeah.
Share it with other people and get them to email us, because if you have different points of view, we want to know about that. We want to answer questions if you think we have advice to offer you specifically. Work hard at hyperpremium.co. is the email.
Yeah.
Or just comment.
Yeah, so you're gonna see like Cat Williams. He's the black comedian, kind of a small guy, talks like this.
Okay.
My name is Cat Williams, and I went on Joe Rogan. That's not what you talk about now, Joe Rogan. That's what he talks.
Okay.
He's very funny.
Is he the one who does the bit about the dry sandwich? Isn't that better?
No.
That's a different guy?
No,
okay,
no,
never
no.
mind.
That's Patrice O'Neal.
Okay.
Patrice O'Neal is unfortunately dead.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Isn't that better?
Ain't that better? We want you somewhere.
Yeah. In a hot vine.
In a hot
Wrapped
vine.
up in a hot vine.
Can't hear the TV. Can't see the TV.
Got a dry sandwich.
Dry
No mayonnaise.
Yeah, no mayonnaise. Yeah. She punches the door. She got to come in the room. I need to clean your room.
But Cat Williams.
Yeah, Cat Williams
For the second or third time. We're back to
we're
Cat
back
Williams.
to it. He does this interview with Theo Von where he
This
talks
is
about
podcasting.
this is podcasting, baby. He talks about getting saved, and in the same interview, he's quite crass other times.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, he's in transition.
Yeah, he's in transition. Yeah, and so what you're gonna see,
that'll happen.
What you're gonna see is you're gonna see a lot of these people. Like you probably will see Joe Rogan get saved. He's been having a lot of apologists on the show lately.
Dude,
crazy. And when he gets saved, you're gonna expect a
did
lot
you
of people
see
to come
him?
with him.
I don't know what fighter it was. He was interviewing after the guy won, and the guy was like, "I just want to take a minute and thank Jesus."
The fighter.
Yeah.
What did Joe say?
Joe, well, he had his hand on his neck, with the microphone,
Yeah.
and Joe nodded.
Ah, nice, very good.
Somebody was like, "Did you see that?"
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you're going to see Joe get saved, and these people, when they get saved, are still going to be. He's still going to be Joe Rogan, making dick jokes, smoking weed, like all that's still going to be there, and it's going to take time for that stuff to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And
depending on how long he has it, some of it might not.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly.
None of us are pure by the time.
Right,
we die.
yeah. He's almost in his 60s. Like when he gets saved, it may not happen quickly. And there's just example after example. There's the British guy. What is his stinking name? I don't remember. Long hair. He's in Get Him to the Greek.
Oh yeah, Russell Brand.
Yeah, Russell Brand.
I love Russell Brand.
Russell Brand got saved.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Russell Brand got saved.
If you look back at old clips where he's with these gorgeous women and they love him.
Yeah.
Like he's just basically getting them to agree to sleep with him as soon as the interview's over.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all about it.
Yeah. And he got saved.
Yeah. And now he's like just seems to be on fire.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't know his heart. Is it possible this is a whole big ploy?
Yeah,
maybe.
Sure. Yeah, possibly.
I really hope not, but it seems very genuine from the little bits. I don't follow him intensely, but I've seen bits and pieces here that he seems to be on the right trail.
And I don't remember what he was saying, but he got on stage recently and was talking about faith and kind of teaching, a little out of turn for a new Christian. But that's, whatever. But he taught something wrong. He said something in error. I don't know that he's repented that or whatever. I don't know the story around it.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen. And so that's like as this conversion, as this revival starts, which it is starting, that's what we're seeing. Is
you see high level people
coming
around and going, you know what?
We need
We
this.
should start
I need
listening
this.
to this.
Yeah.
This rings a lot truer than the Eastern mysticism.
Right.
The Jennifer Aniston stuff.
Yeah, and so you're going to see Christians that are very crass, and you're going to see Christians that are
real rough around the edges.
Real rough around the edges, who have made a living being rough around the edges, and who cannot as easily abandon that way of life as someone who doesn't make a living doing that. Like you're going to see people convert and saying the F word on some podcast or whatever is part of their shtick, and their shtick is how they make a living. And so they're going to be even less incentivized to convert, to change their behavior and stuff. And it's going to be harder for them. And so as we watch the culture slowly turn back to Christ, it's not going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be pretty. It's going to feel very vindicating and very hopeful, but I don't think it's going to look very pretty. I think you're going to have a lot of,
I don't know. I think it's, in some way though, it's really beautiful to see someone who is so broken.
Yeah.
And in between all the cussing, they're like, Jesus is Lord, blankety blank blank blank.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, have you seen...
you got the most important part right.
Yeah, the one that matters. Yeah, you got
exactly.
that right. Yeah.
Your cake decorating is real bad, but the cake tastes good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the icing job is just terrible.
Kid Rock, did you see the
No.
Kid Rock thing where he witnesses to Joe Rogan on
No way.
on his podcast? Yeah.
Another one of those Rogan interviews I'll have to go back and watch.
Yeah, I don't know that the whole interview is worth watching, but I mean that clip is
it's
pretty
rare
cool.
that 3 hours is worth all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that clip is pretty cool. Kid Rock witnessing to Joe Rogan is pretty sick. But then, he goes...
Kid Rock's got some repenting to do. He's got some changes to go through.
I mean, he's still edited, but he's got a section in his bar still called the Cadillac section, which I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I'm sorry if it's not, and I just said that word for no reason, but pretty positive that's what it's called. So you're gonna have this stuff coming down the pipe, and it's good. It is ultimately good. So that's it. So we were 30 minutes in on the intro.
It's the seed sprouting.
Yeah, it is a seed sprouting.
Well, this one, the intro really bleeds into the main topic. So we're going to take a real quick break here and go to Between the Couch Cushions.
Yes.
And if this is your first time hearing it, Between the Couch Cushions is the section of the show where we openly recognize, as what should be obvious to everybody, is that most modern media kind of sucks.
Bad.
It's not great. And so we're reaching back in our memories and our experiences to bring you albums, movies, TV shows,
video games,
books, some form of media that does have some redeeming quality or was genuinely artistic and beautiful in some way, even if not overtly Christian stuff. We're just talking about stuff that we enjoyed and had some benefit from, or at least just enjoyable.
Yeah, it just was good.
So anyway, my recommendation is the movie Dave, which was put out in 1993. It has Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver. What is his name?
I don't know. It's Reverend. It's
something.
The guy on CNN or MSNBC, the black guy that's always dressed real sharp, older guy.
Except that his hair is crazy.
Yeah. It's that guy?
Is it?
Oh, it's the rent is too damn high guy?
I don't know.
He's got glasses?
I don't know.
Okay, well, all right.
Doesn't matter.
It's some guy named Reverend something. He mispronounces.
He mispronounced Sigourney Weaver's name at one point and
Sigourney Weaver
made internet history.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Anyway, has nothing to do with the movie though. Dave is a movie. The premise is the president, who is played by Kevin Kline, suffers a stroke. He's a real tool of a man, and so he suffers a stroke. Sigourney Weaver is the first lady. They're estranged.
Insanely hot, by the way.
Sigourney Weaver?
Insanely hot.
She is a
dude.
She is a lovely woman, yeah.
Just wanted to make note of that. Continue.
It's hard to pass one by without saying something sometimes. Wow. Anyway, so Kevin Kline is a tool. He suffers a stroke and is in a coma, but the Secret Service and everyone pulling the strings, the administration does not want to reveal to the American people that the president is incapacitated. And so they go and find a presidential impersonator who is also played by Kevin Kline in the movie, so it's the same guy. And he brings him on, and they say, you're going to basically impersonate the president so that we can keep up the facade that everything's fine.
Yeah.
So this is like a normal everyday guy who's like a genuinely a good guy, a nice guy, and he gets put in the place of the president, and they're saying you can't, he's not allowed to really interact with the first lady except when he has to be for public events, but they sleep in different like wings of the White House, so like really he doesn't see her very much. But my favorite scene of the movie is where he gets put in a boardroom. He's supposed to attend some sort of meeting, and he's been coached about, it's a budgetary meeting where like various government agencies and their representatives are presenting the progress on various initiatives and projects. And he gets the papers ahead of time and looks through what the budget is. I think he's an accountant, I think.
Okay.
I think his job is something like his day job besides the impersonation thing is that he's like an accountant or whatever, something to do with books and budgets.
Yeah.
And so it's right up his alley.
Yeah.
And he is in this board meeting where he's not supposed to be doing anything. He's supposed to pretty much just pass everything along, don't make waves, interact as little as possible so that everyone believes he's really the president.
Yeah.
But he gets in there and he goes, actually, guys, I have some ideas about what we might be able to trim here and bring our budget back in alignment, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of the security guys is just like, Mr. President. And he just like looks dead at him and he goes, yes. And stares at him and waits until the whole boardroom is looking at this, like the security guy. And he goes, never mind. And so he proceeds to like kind of gently grill each of these guys on like, oh, you're spending $3 million on this initiative. What's the progress you've made? And they're like, oh, and they hammer, like basically they're doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
It's not producing anything good. And he's like, okay, well, maybe we should cut that,
Yeah.
Doesn't see. And they're like, okay. So he ends up like trimming the budget. Basically kind of a conservative fantasy moment in the movie, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. Modern day now.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
So Dave is happening.
Dave's
anyway,
happening.
his name is Dave. That's why the movie's called Dave. Pretty fun movie. It's a comedic movie. It's heartwarming, and it's just it's a good movie.
It is. Well, I'm saying it is like I've
It's
seen it. I haven't
relatively
seen
clean. I think there's one scene where Sigourney Weaver happens upon him in the shower to like talk to him about something.
Oh yeah.
And he's of course embarrassed because he's naked in the shower.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's attracted to her. So there's insinuations as to what happens. It's very funny, but it is, anyway, I don't think there's anything shown, but just so you know, it's not a perfectly family friendly movie.
Yeah.
Use discretion if you're watching it as a family. But
Yeah.
my parents showed it to me and they were pretty careful about what they showed us.
Yeah.
So maybe some minor editing, but otherwise, great film. What's your rec for this week?
It is THX 1138, which is George Lucas's first movie. It's very good. George Lucas, I don't think is really actually that good of a director. He got lucky with the first 3 Star Wars movies, and this one. But I think he used his
more so because of his revolutionary sound effect, or not sound effects, visual effects. And visionary.
Yeah.
Not because of his dialogue.
No. Although the Han Solo character is pretty sick.
Partially because Harrison Ford changed some of the lines.
Oh, is that really what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was supposed to say, "I love you too" to Princess Leia when she says, "I love you," but instead he says, "I know."
Yeah.
So that was Harrison Ford's edit.
Good. Well, good for him. Harrison Ford is a total whatever. Harrison Ford sucks, but
yeah. He hates Han Solo, which is unforgivable.
I know. Yeah. I mean, he's really unredeemable as a person. Like every time somebody gives him a chance to do something cool or say something nice,
then he just crashes his plane.
Yeah, he just
ruins it.
Yeah, he just crashes. He gets pilled out and crashes his plane. THX 1138 is a movie about the future, about like a dystopian future where people all live underground. So it's like, but it's like they don't have
my
any
fantasy.
Yeah. Not this kind of underground. They basically live in like a giant underground mall. That's what it looks like. And
that is dystopian.
And they don't have names. They're all called.
Is it numbers?
Yeah. So
is that what THX 1138 is?
That's the name of the main character. That's his serial number. And he basically like. There's these pills that people take to keep them chill, and his partner, his domestic partner, they're not married, they don't have any intercourse, they don't interact with each other at all, really. Starts taking his pills, like switches them up. I don't remember exactly what she does, but she messes with his stuff, so he gets off his medication basically.
Starts feeling.
Yeah, starts feeling, and the movie's not. Do not watch it with your kids. There's several scenes of nudity. They're not intense and they're kind of vague. Like he's like watching a hologram.
Okay.
But it's not. So it's like kind of hard to tell exactly what you're looking at, but it's obviously a naked girl.
Okay.
And that scene in and of itself is just not
Not good?
No,
Okay.
no. It's
All right.
strange, and you need to be an adult to see it. So yeah, don't watch it with you're also it's too weird. It'll freak your kid out just in general. Like even if it didn't have any of the nudity in it, there's this scene where he goes to prison.
Just the weird dystopianness of
Yeah,
it.
the prison is white in every direction, and it just is. It looks infinite in every space, and it's painfully white. And then these robots just appear out of the walls with these cattle prods to just torture people periodically. And so it's really messed up. It's very, very messed up. It has a bright ending, but it's a strange path to get there. And they have these they all have jobs to produce stuff, and there's never any the ruling class is up above. It never talks about any of that. How did we get here? What's society like? Nothing. None of that. It just is. It just is, and it's from his point of view, and you only know as much as he knows.
Okay.
And there's this the ads. So they have these jobs and they get paid something for them, and there's these ads, but the ads are just straight up just remember to consume. You must buy. If you see it, you have to buy it. Buy everything. And then the things
Brave New World-esque.
Yes. And
There's
the things
jingles.
Yeah. The things that there are to buy are just shapes. They just
Remembered by triangles.
Yeah, they've boiled it down past the gamified interface that exists today where you buy cheap Chinese crap, but it still pretends to have a function. It's just straight up, this is just here for consumption, and that's it. That's what it's for. It's for you to buy it. That's its purpose.
Okay.
And so it's just a red triangle or a blue sphere, or and that's it. That's what you buy. And so he just has them. He'll just get off work and come home and just
holding one,
holding them in his hands.
Got it.
Yeah, I've got one.
I bought it.
Yeah, I bought it.
I'm a good boy.
I am.
I'm a good citizen.
Yeah, so it's very good. It's very strange. My parents, I was at my parents' house watching it in the living room, and I was watching it periodically, in chunks.
Yeah.
And so that my parents kept seeing it on over a period of several days, and finally I was like, dude, what is this? What are you watching? And I was like, this is George Lucas. And he was like, what are you talking about, dude? Turn this off. Don't do this to us. Turn it off.
Get this off our television.
Yeah, but it's very good. It is very good. So that's my recommendation. So,
Bleeding right back into the main topic,
which is basically still along the same lines here, which is this, the idea, though more specifically, is this idea of moving around for work. And I think one of the things that I want to talk about here is that what the Vivek thing, the conservative stuff, all this, we've had this period in America because of the egalitarian nature of the American culture and wanting to include people and wanting to act in good faith with everyone around us. We've become open to letting people who are not Americans dictate to us what Americans are and should be doing. And I have a very strict interpretation of what an American is.
Here we go.
It is
buckle up.
It is Anglo-Saxon white people and black people, African Americans. That's who are Americans. Okay. Now I know personally at least one person who would scoff at that definition and roll his eyes. So I'll say to this, to the people who listen to this that don't know us, that are from the internet, because there now are quite a few of you, who would scoff at me including black people in that definition, is what I'm saying. And I'm sorry I'm saying this bluntly. It just is what it is. Listen, it's debatable on who actually physically brought Africans here as slaves. There's a lot of evidence that it was a whole nother group that, people talk about a lot, but neither here nor there. But Americans did buy slaves, support the slave trade, and were very much participants in it. Mm-hmm. We don't now, African American blacks and American whites have to figure out some way to coexist. And I think for the most part, effectively had and did for a long time. But whites and blacks in America are as American as the others. Many of our ancestors have been here working for this country either by force or by willing, by of their own volition or not. They've been working and fighting for this country for hundreds of years. So that's who Americans are. And
you're including like Germans and Irish, all that.
Yeah, I guess because they've, those early immigrants.
The large amounts of immigration in the past.
Yeah,
it took a while to integrate.
Yeah,
they were treated poorly.
Yeah,
initially, and kind of had to work almost as a pseudo slave class to establish their.
Yeah, but they paid their price, and I'm a little reluctant to say like Irish people of Irish descent are Americans, or people of Italian descent are like Americans. I think it's hard to argue that they're not at this point.
Okay.
So I'm unwilling to die on that hill, but I don't see them. Like I don't see a person of German descent whose family came here 100 years ago or whatever as American as like a black family whose family has been in Louisiana or in Texas or in Alabama for 300 years. You know what I mean?
So you're viewing American as you're defining American more as a time spent.
Yeah. What's your investment? Like what's the genetic investment? Like how much actual like genetic material has been spent by your family to build the U.S. into what it is?
Gotcha.
So
your generational credits.
Yeah. Sure. Why not? I mean, and so this idea that like Vivek or Ben Shapiro, and here's the reason why like I have some apprehension with like.
By the way, the reason he's bringing up Ben Shapiro is because the topic.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
All right.
Sorry, this is going to sound bad, but I promise you it's from a place of love. American Jews have. Listen, this is just observation. I don't know why. I don't know whatever. It's just American Jews have clearly invested themselves in staying distinct and separate from everyone else. They have decided that they are not going to integrate into American culture and be Americans.
As in they deliberately continue to marry other Jews.
Deliberately continue to marry other Jews, deliberately to distinguish themselves between them
keeping
and
the
Goyim.
Bloodlines pure.
Yeah,
basically.
keeping the bloodlines pure and all that. Yeah, all that behavior that they have. So, yeah, is Ben Shapiro an American? No. Ben Shapiro is not an American. Ben Shapiro's family is not an American family. Ben Shapiro is an Israeli. His family is Israeli. They care about Israel more than they care about America. Ben Shapiro would watch America be destroyed before he allowed Israel to be destroyed. They have established themselves as... Hold on, guys. Take a break. We're back. So here, we'll cut to the chase because this episode is at risk of running along. Ben Shapiro has this thing that he's talked about several times. I remember him talking about this years ago. I haven't listened to Ben Shapiro in a long time, but I remember him talking about this a while ago.
Yeah.
Which is this idea that Americans used to move to find work, and now one of the reasons why Americans can't find work is because they're unwilling to move. Now, before we give our arguments or whatever to that, I'm going to say this. I am exhausted by non-Americans telling Americans how they should conduct themselves. I am over it. I am done. I am not listening anymore. If Vivek thinks Americans should do this, Ben Shapiro thinks Americans should do that, kick rocks, leave, go back, and go do whatever you think should be done where you belong. Okay? Quit telling me and my people how we should conduct ourselves. I'm over it. Sam Hyde has this. He popped off.
Did he?
He went very viral. And one of the things that he, on 2 really long videos, 2-hour-long videos, but there's a clip now that circulates all the time. It's very popular. And it's him saying, listen, if you start debating with these people, with foreigners who are looking to steal from you, the moment you start trying to debate in good faith with them, you have lost. You can have these debates and these discussions with your boys and in your communities and whatever, and you should define what you think an American is. Everyone knows what an American is. You're all going to come to something that only has 1 or 2 degrees of variation. Everyone knows what an American is. The moment that you have someone come to you and he goes, this is what he actually says. The moment you have a foreigner come to you and start using definitions at you and you have to look up shit, no, we're not doing that. You're getting called a slur. I don't know whichever one I feel like using at the time, but you're getting called a slur.
Definitions as example.
Do
you mean you don't know what they're talking about?
Yeah, just trying to get nitpicky
of...
and the like postmodern deconstruction, that like just trying to tear things apart for the sake of injecting their own thing that you know is wrong, as long as your like clearly defined ideas exist. They're trying to undermine the foundation of your arguments before they even present theirs. And they won't even present theirs. They'll just confuse you enough that it's hard for you to conduct yourself, so they can then slip in whatever agenda they want to slip in.
Get their foot in the door.
Yeah. So I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by this because it's been going on for so long. And I feel tired when I think about it. And it has to end. It has to end. Americans get to decide what Americans behave like. Americans, Vivek Rama Ding Dong doesn't get to tell us that Americans should be less jockey and football-y and more Asian and nerdy and Tiger Mom like. It doesn't. That is not what we are doing anymore. Those days are gone. It is over. Tall white guys with mustaches are now deciding, and their black friends are the ones deciding what Americans are going to do. Patrice O'Neill and his ilk are the ones deciding what Americans used to have. Dude, Patrice O'Neill has this great bit on a radio show where he's busting white people's chops, and it's amazing and it's unifying and beautiful, where he's talking about the song Creep. And he's like, that song comes on, man, and white people, they start to cry. You get that song, you sing it. I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. White people want to be sad. Why? Why do you want to be sad? It's very funny, dude. That's America. That's Americans. That's who gets to decide. It is not Ben Shapiro. It is not Israelites and Indians. They do not get to decide who Americans are and what Americans do. So when Ben Shapiro says Americans need to move around more, of course Ben Shapiro wants Americans to move around more. He wants their families to be fractured. He wants them to be atomized so that they can't stand up to AIPAC or whatever. He's totally corrupt. He wants to steal from you. That we're not participating in this anymore. It's over. So all that being said, we have 8 minutes now. This idea of moving around. What are your thoughts?
Well, we talked a bit before about how there is a history, and I think it's been a while since I heard Shapiro say that. It's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
If you're alluding to when the United States was not fully populated yet, we acquired more land out west. Oregon and California were new, and there were pioneers heading out from the East Coast to settle large tracts of land, right? Yeah. The government said if you can make it there and you can sit on it and hold it for 5 years or whatever it was, it's yours.
Yeah.
You read the Little House books, Laura Ingalls Wilder, like that's what they were doing. They kept moving from spot to spot, further out west, to acquire different government contracts, basically, to achieve land, because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So they were poor people who were doing a Hail Mary of, this is how we make our fortune. If we can just grit our teeth long enough and hang on to this, then it's ours. And they were moving, so they had no roots. They would uproot themselves as just their family. So a nuclear family moving from place to place, trying to establish themselves. Yeah. A town would spring up, and it would become somewhat populated, and they're like, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So in that sense, there is a very American pioneer spirit left, a little bit, or there's fractured pieces of it maybe, and that's what Shapiro's drawing from in saying Americans used to move to where the work was.
Yeah.
If there's an industry that pops up, like you mentioned Detroit at some point when we were talking beforehand, like if there's jobs in Detroit and everything's dried up where you are and you can't provide for your family, yeah, don't sit there and go, government, help me.
Right.
Like, move to Detroit to get the job and make sure your family doesn't starve. But I think what we're advocating for now that we're at a point where the United States is relatively fully populated.
Yeah.
You're not too far from a big city, no matter where you are. There's still large tracts of just land.
Right.
The flyover states, tons of it still. So, I mean, there's plenty of places still to build up infrastructure, to build up new cities and expand. But it's not as if there's vast tracts of completely unexplored wilderness that we have to go out and figure out where the resources are anymore.
Right.
And with the technological ability to work remotely in a lot of jobs, like Ethan's work and many others, there's the opportunity to stay put where you are, to continue doing the same kind of work where you are, because we have developed cities and, interstate travel and airplanes and all this. So we don't have to move like the pioneers anymore. Now, my family moved because we moved to get land.
Yeah.
We wanted land. We couldn't make it work financially back in Oregon, and so we moved back out east, ironically. We like to think of it as reverse pioneering.
Yeah.
We went backwards. And to an area where we hoped we could become part of and help build up a conservative, and again, I use that term in air quotes because that's just what the term people use, but we'll say a Puritan futurist society.
Yeah.
Trying to establish it, trying to grow it, trying to put down roots, and trying to really cement our ideals and Christian morals, and tie ourselves to our church family, and make it so that we don't have to move to escape tyrannical leadership. If we have enough pull to help shape the world around us and make our community, sovereign to a certain extent, not like we're trying to close off from the United States government necessarily, but to at least resist the worst that they could throw at us. That's why we ended up moving. And so I think that's obviously, in my mind, that was a reason for moving. Now, I hope that given that difficult decision we made, I hope that my children don't ever have to, or my grandchildren don't have to leave here.
Right.
I hope that they're not forced into that scenario. I hope that we will be able to help them find work and meaning in the community here to where they don't have to move around. I think I also want to touch on the wisdom or foolishness of sending your children to out-of-state schools. What are you essentially doing when you allow your child to go to, I'll say Massachusetts. I don't know anyone. I knew somebody in the past who went to Massachusetts, and they didn't really come back.
Yeah.
That's where they established all their adult friendships. You go for 4 years or more to a university elsewhere, and that's where you establish all of your adult friendships. You've kind of grown up out of your childhood friendship, but you uproot yourself enough to go for a full 4 years elsewhere, and all those friendships you establish, and in all likelihood, you find your spouse there, and who knows where they're from. Maybe they moved from, maybe they're from Utah. So now you've got a Utah and a Texan meeting in Massachusetts, and where do you go from there? Both of you are out of your communities. Do you establish a new community? Both of you are rootless at that point. So if you allow your children, or if you raise them and say, it's okay, you can go to any school you want to because the opportunities are worth us being apart from you. We won't be able to support you. We're not going to be there to help you out except financially, or except on breaks you'll come back. But I think it's dangerous.
Yeah.
To encourage or allow your children, and of course, I'm not saying that you can control an 18-year-old and say you absolutely are not going there. I think a lot of it has to do with how you raise them, the expectations that you set when they're young. And if the expectations you set are that you need to be a part of the community, you're not just this individual detached. And I know that the American individuality it was very integral to our sense of being as Americans, the individuality.
Yeah.
But I think that leaves behind the importance of the community and being part of something that's bigger than just yourself and your own desires. And I get to do whatever I want because I'm an individual and I'm autonomous. And no.
Yeah.
I think it's really destructive and leads to kind of this self-worship and like, well, if I'm not happy doing, all this.
Yeah.
You are part of a larger organism.
Right.
You're part of the nuclear family that you were born into, and extended from that, whatever community you grew up in, your church, your school, your neighborhood, all of that, you're part of that. And if you uproot yourself and take yourself out, you have to start over somewhere else. So you're starting from scratch over and over and over and over again. Every generation that does that.
What do you have?
We have.
No, I mean, what do you have?
Oh, what do you have?
What do you have? What do you have?
Yeah.
You have a lot less.
But we have done that for generations.
Right.
And I think it's time to start settling down. Pick a place for good reasons and try to integrate there. Try to make it home. Try to make it a multi-generational home, that region.
Yeah, and I think, here, I'll say this. So I think there's a balance to everything. And you can't sit and die, obviously. But and this is what I'm talking about with this, like, you can't let foreigners dictate to you what Americans are or whatever, because on its face, this idea, well, Americans used to travel all the time, and that's a pioneering spirit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. First of all, Ben Shapiro doesn't know what the pioneering spirit is, okay? He doesn't have it. Secondly, it's not, that was a unique place in time. On its face, that argument is retarded. And it
was very situational.
It was very situational, and it is not the the standard operating procedure for the rest of the human population.
Well, for the rest of the United States history.
Yeah, for the rest of the United States history.
Around.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, my family has been in Texas for 300 years. In Texas and Louisiana for 300 years. My dad's side of my family's Cajun. Since people were in those areas, that's where my family came from. Those pioneers, even those pioneers who were moving to find work, moving to find opportunity, were doing that they were trying to find a home. They were trying to find a place where they could post up.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the goal of people that were moving around a lot
was not to continue moving around.
Right, was to stop moving around and find a place where they could build roots and their families could all intermarry and build communities and all that kind of stuff. People need these communities. People need to be connected to one another. And you can't connect if you're just constantly uprooting yourself. And so, yes, if life hands you a situation where it's time to go, then yeah, you should go. But that is very rare that's going to happen.
Not the expectation
it's not
set for everybody.
Yeah, it's not the expectation to set for everybody.
Again, situational.
Yeah, and it's not the standard you should operate on. And that's part of this like deconstructive postmodern thing, is to go after ideals and undo ideals, which is what Ben Shapiro is trying to do. He's trying to undo ideals. So that's my argument. We'll wrap it up here. We could beat this drum a little bit more, but it's fine. Here's what I want everyone to take away from this.
Okay.
Quit listening to people that hate you. Or at least quit listening to people who want what you have and are unwilling to trade value for it and just want to steal from you. Quit listening to them. Even if they're not foreigners, quit listening to them. You don't have to move. I'll say the college thing. Actually, you know what? We should have a whole separate episode about that.
About the college thing?
About the college thing.
Okay.
Because I would love to say some stuff like that about that, but we don't have time. So, yeah, you don't have to move. You can stay put, figure it out yourself. Last resort, moving is protocol Z. Okay? That's what you need to think about it as. Do anything. That's protocol Z.
Yep.
You're in a bad way.
We tried a lot of other things before we moved.
Yeah.
We looked at building a yurt on some other guy's land because he had bought this land and didn't have a firm idea of what he was going to do with it.
Yeah.
And I pitched him the idea of this, farming community that I could help build or found.
Yeah.
And we would move onto the property first to build up the infrastructure, starting off in a yurt.
Yeah, there you go.
And that didn't pan out, thankfully. But like that's the kind of level of stuff we were trying really hard to get on land, not just going, well, we can't afford to buy 100 acres outright.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, if you want to be a tech worker or a welder or something and you can't find welding jobs or tech working jobs in your town, be something else. Be something else first so you can live close to your parents and take care of them when they get old. And your parents can be around your kids. And your kids understand. Because your kids, if you do that to your parents, your kids will do that to you. They'll leave you. And then you'll feel like real sorry. So it's Protocol Z, man. That's moving is Protocol Z. Last resort. All right. That's it for me, Jason. You got anything else for him?
No, I think that does it.
All right, guys. We love you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. We will see you next week.
Make sure you find a woman.
Oh, yes.
Make sure you marry her before having babies with her. Make sure you definitely have babies with her if God gives you the physical capability to do so.
Yes.
Raise those children in a God-fearing church.
Don't move.
Build your communities. Don't move. Don't encourage your children to move.
Don't send them to college.
Yeah, don't send them to college. Out of state.
Yeah, they can go to college. But...
Yeah, we're not decrying higher education for those who need it.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed. It's just maybe over. We'll have a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah.
Anyway, we love you guys. Have them babies. We'll see you later.
See ya.